And to be fair, we tried to understand Sabrina. We tried to ask her, hey, what's this album cover about? And she was like, basically, go touch some grass. I think some of us owe Sabrina Carpenter a huge apology. Hi guys, I'm Tatu. I'm Tati's Media, where to inform you while offering my perspective on different things in the media. And today we're going to be talking about the public's misjudgment of Sabrina Carpenter. First, I'm going to preface this video by saying, although I am taking accountability and educating myself on basically my misjudgment of Sabrina Carpenter, I want to say that I never hated Sabrina Carpenter. I made it a point in the previous videos to say that I have been a Sabrina Carpenter fan since she was on Girl Meets World, okay? And she was like 12, 13. And I've been a fan of her previous music before, and I've never hated her, but I definitely critiqued her to the T. Today, I'm taking accountability. Okay, we're gonna take accountability together because if you were on this train too, we both have some accountability to take. But today I'm here to tell you exactly what I uncovered and what made me realize that I was wrong. I also want to preface that this is basically like a commentary video and sharing perspectives together. It's not really gonna be delivering news. So let's rewind. When Man's Best Friend, the album cover, was revealed, I made a video talking about the controversy behind the cover. And basically the general consensus of the cover was that this was very male gaze and seemed performative to fit the male gaze. General consensus, okay? And that's kind of what I agreed with as well. Then the album came out and the album and the lyrics connected to what the album cover was saying. So I thought, etc. And basically a lot of the critics were saying that Sabrina was doing harm to feminism and that her music was now performing to the male gaze, and maybe it always had been. But I think I want to say that me and others have misjudged Sabrina Carpenter pretty badly, okay? But I'm not gonna lie, her response to the criticism didn't help either.
When people first saw the cover of Man's Best Friend, there was a lot of tisk, 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 and oh my. Yeah, tisk, 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 and oh my.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to their reaction?
Like, y'all need to get out more.
However, it's been a couple months and I think I've changed my mind about Sabrina Carpenter being male gaze performative because of a couple of reasons. And the album has now simmered. She's been touring and going on shows and performing. I think we have new data that proves that maybe Sabrina Carpenter wasn't performing for the male gaze after all. First, let's talk about the VMAs TATI'S performance. Sabrina Carpenter performed TATI'S with drag queens, trans performers, and massive protest signs behind her, reading "Protect Trans Rights and Support Local Drag." This performance was at the 2025 MTV VMAs. This performance wasn't just a regular performance, right? It was a statement. I may be thinking, does supporting queer people mean that she's making music for women? Not necessarily. However, womanhood and queerness are deeply intertwined into today's culture. Choosing to center drag, trans identity, and protest during one of the most watched music events of the year is not something you do unless your platform is there to reflect something bigger. To me, it's a signal that she knows her audience and she cares about them. Next, we had the SNL Manchild performance, which is what really sold it to me, honestly. Now, y'all know that I cannot stand SNL. I just don't think that SNL's comedy is funny. They typically just make fun of other people and it's just not funny to me. When I saw her perform Manchild on SNL, the hairbrush mic, the dancing alone in her bedroom, I fully paused and I was like, there was no glam, no actual choreography, just her and this girl in her room shouting these lyrics about men and this relatable space that really represents girlhood, in my opinion. It was playful and raw, kind of awkward, but it was intentional. And with this new perspective, I re-examined the lyrics. And then also, she has a thing in her music videos where at the end of each one, a man basically dies. And to me, I just thought that was like, something cute and fun. Not that men dying is cute and fun, but I just thought it was kind of just something that the fans wanted and that she didn't really like. I don't know. So I even went back to some of the lyrics that I originally dismissed as surface level. I think I hear them differently now.
Sabrina Carpenter is not male-centered. Her music is for women. When she takes it off, shows a new color, new shade, that's for women. Her concerts for women. It gives them a space to feel comfortable wearing their little cute outfits, a lot of the times inspired by hers. She's just comfortable in her sexuality. The second a woman gets comfortable in her sexuality, she gets hit with criticism, yet men are praised because women are supposed to want a family, but not enjoy the way they're made. And men are supposed to be men. I'm gonna tag her, y'all should watch her full video. She mentioned Sabrina Carpenter for 5 seconds and the comment section just went wild attacking it, so just had to do that. Creator of that video made a point. Is it a woman that is centering men, or is it just a woman who's attracted to men? The woman's out. She's wearing this outfit. She's comfortable. She's confident in her body. She just happens to also like men. That's not centering men. Centering men would be lowering oneself to then put men on a pedestal. Wanting or being in a relationship, wanting marriage is not being male-centered. Putting your friends in a dangerous situation in order to get at a man is. The rise of tradwife is very much red flag, male-centered. However, it's not the thing of being married and doing stuff around the house. Some people really just love marriage. They love their partner and they love doing house things. It's the putting yourself down to only do that or to only see yourself doing that to please the man. The proximity of going back to when men decided when it was okay for a woman to leave the house. Not everyone's partners are like that, but the thing is with a lot of this content being out there and being pushed out, it seems like they're very close to that.
Do I think Sabrina Carpenter's album cover is anti-feminist? Yes. Do I think this makes her the anti-feminist antichrist? Also, no. If it really were to be satire, it should look something like this, but it doesn't. Instead, it infantilizes young women, or she infantilizes herself and over-sexualizes herself in this image. People have also been toying with the idea that this may be rage bait, which I'm honestly, as a concept, not a fan of whatsoever. I think it's artistically lazy. It could be that she doesn't know the implications there are when you use imagery like this in an attempt to subvert a stereotype. It's really not funny and it's really not clever in my opinion. It reinforces a stereotype if anything, or reinforces gender roles, and men love this. If this really were satire, then men would be angry and we would be laughing, which we're clearly not. Now, do I think a singular album cover can throw us back hundreds of years? Absolutely not. Do I still think it's worth a discussion? Absolutely yes. I saw a comment saw someone say her music lacks the radicalism necessary to subvert the imagery she employs, and I completely agree. This is exactly the issue that I have as well, and what I really have a problem with is this self-infantilization. With the Lolita references, I really did not enjoy that at all, and she's still allowed to make mistakes. You can't be a perfect feminist. I don't even know if she identifies as a feminist. Let me know what you guys think. I think this is such a heavily debated topic on TikTok right now. I'm down for discussions, and I'll see you guys very soon.
Sabrina, you can get behind me, girl, because y'all are taking this whole album cover thing way out of proportion. I feel like if you've listened to any of Sabrina Carpenter's song, she writes from the female gaze. She never really writes her song to appeal to a male audience. She's also just someone who has never really shied away from showing her sexuality, and she embraces it and talks about that in her music. So when I saw her album cover, I'm thinking, what is the issue? She's clearly like in some role play situation, giving like kink, giving BDSM. She's getting her hair pulled. She's on all fours as a play on words for a man's best friend. I was like, why are people so pissed? And honestly, I just haven't heard anyone give a good reason as to why it's problematic. Literally the other day, I saw someone comparing her to P. Diddy. I'm sorry guys, we have lost the plot when we're comparing a domestic violence situation to someone who is consenting in a somewhat kinky form of consensual relations. And then with Manchild, I don't get how people think this album cover is an endorsement of male values or whatever, when literally the single that she put out is called Manchild. And if you listen to it, she clowns on men all the time in her music. Not even just that song. There are literally so many songs in her music videos where she stays clowning on men. God forbid a woman likes getting her hair pulled in the bedroom. Apparently the whole internet will come after you.
Now that we have an idea on why people are switching up on Sabrina Carpenter and realizing that maybe she wasn't performing for the male gaze, we're gonna get into mind over media. Welcome to Mind Over Media, my mind over the media, my perspectives on the controversy. As always, no haze intended, these are just my perspectives. So as you guys heard, the new things that Sabrina has come out and done has made me realize, I think, that a lot of us owe Sabrina Carpenter an apology, and including me, okay? I was wrong, okay guys, it's not too often that I say it, but I am here taking accountability, okay? I was wrong, and I view Sabrina Carpenter differently than I did when the first cover of the album was released. Going back, when you have a idea of somebody and they continue to do things that could persuade your idea even more, it's easy to just put this character onto them, right? Of course, because you've had this idea about them for so long. So when I listen to her music with the idea in my head that I think that she's performing for the male gaze, or that she's kind of reversing feminism or whatever, I didn't think that extremely, but I did think that it was male gazy. It was hard for me to hear the music as anything else. But when I went back to listen to the lyrics, I was like, I get it now, Sabrina.
I'm just one of those artists that it took a few tries. And I don't even think of it as it took a few tries to be good or to be successful. I just think maybe for people to understand it and catch on to who I am. Because I was always like, I think about old songs of mine that I released when I was quite young. Like 17 or 18, I put out a song called Sue Me. And I was getting sued at the time I wrote that song. And I was like, I wrote a song called Sue Me. And it was just like it feels like me now, but before I really understood myself. Yeah. And I think maybe it wasn't sonically exactly what I wanted yet, or maybe it wasn't fully written exactly the way I would write it now. But the ideas were there. And like the humor was there, and the cheekiness, or like the I don't know, the direction. I just don't want to live out of fear of trying to make sure that I don't upset anyone. People always say, like, is it scary to be vulnerable in your songs? It's actually not. It's becoming not scary to be vulnerable in my songs. It's becoming scary to allow everything about me to be misunderstood and to not let it change me.
I get the feeling, even with the humor and with a healthy dose of judgment in some of these songs, that you were hurting real bad.
Thank you. Yes. I called it short and sweet for multiple reasons. Like, it was not because I'm vertically challenged. It was really like, I thought about some of these relationships and how some of them were the shortest I've ever had, and they affected me the most. You know, I think about the way that I respond to situations, and sometimes it is very nice, and sometimes it's not very nice. And again, the thing about albums, projects, writing songs, it's all moments.
This whole thing is basically a girlhood complaint of men. And complaint is a strong word, I don't mean that, but it's talking about men in a way that grabs everyone's attention, men and women. Overall thing is that it keeps women to stay because the lyrics are so relatable. Was I projecting my frustration with pop culture's packaging of women onto Sabrina Carpenter? Honestly, I think so, a little bit. Sometimes you can't get the full picture from the first listen and visuals are needed. And I still believe that the album cover is controversial, and I still believe that Sabrina's responses weren't helping the case either, okay? With that kind of cover, she had no explanation. And to be fair, we tried to understand Sabrina. We tried to ask her, hey, what's this album cover about? And she was like, basically, go touch some grass. It's not completely like on me or on us who thought similarly, because Sabrina didn't make it any better with her responses, right? But I do think that yeah, I was wrong. Like, she definitely proved me wrong. And she reminded me that empowerment can still be subtle. And while I do think that artists are always capable of criticism, we should just be as willing to say when we're wrong, when we've misunderstood something. And that's all I have to say for today's video. We've heard enough from me. It's time to hear from you guys. Did Sabrina's recent performances change your perspective on the album and her as a person in general? Can empowerment be subtle, or does it always have to be loud? And what role does visuals play when we interpret an artist's music? I'm really curious as to what you guys think. Please leave your perspectives down below, and thank you so much for watching. Love you. Bye. Mwah.